Welcome, everyone, and please have a seat and turn to page 2 of your staple-bound liturgy books. Gata of Atonement. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. Nikaya 3 Refuges. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. I take refuge in Sangha. The 5 remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. Mahayana Refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers, for the lineage of teachers before them. I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened, and may their vows be completely realized. 7 practices of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred. Being close to some and distant from others, how wonderful it would be, may this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness and the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. The reading for today is on page 44 of the spiral-bound liturgy book, and it is the Ship of Compassion. I don't know if everybody's got spiral bounds or not, but no. Okay. Okay. Night rain washes the mountain cliffs. The dawn greens soaked through. Sitting, I meditate on emptiness as fresh breezes fill the temple. Words are inherently empty, and yet still I am fond of brush and ink. My mind like ashes after the fire, and yet still I am tied to the world. Window bamboo, empty mind, courtyard pine, innate purity. The trunk of this lofty green tree, neither inherently form nor no form. Between bell and fish drum, I have yet to grasp the essence of Dharma. Yet I get a whiff of its fragrance, as if I were aboard the ship of compassion. Please stand for the Heart Sutra. Great Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva practicing deep Prajna Paramita clearly saw that all five skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form, form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form, sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are essentially empty, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. Therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, no sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought, no seeing, and so on, to no thinking, no ignorance, also no ending of ignorance, and so on to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death, no suffering, cause of suffering, cessation, path, no wisdom, and no attainment, since there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva lives by prajna paramita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear, far beyond delusive thinking. Right here is nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future live by prajna paramita, attaining anuttara samyak sambodhi. Therefore know that prajna paramita is the great sacred mantra, the great vivid mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not mere formality. Therefore set forth the prajna paramita mantra, set forth this mantra and proclaim gate gate para gate parsam gate bodhi svaha, gate gate para gate parsam gate bodhi svaha, gate gate para gate parsam gate bodhi svaha. Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind. All that is we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We offer this sincere and devoted practice for the many beings of the sixth world, and dedicate it in grateful thanks to the strength and sound practice of the great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be clear from all interferences, and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate these merits to Kensei and her family, Sarah Keir and her family, Paulette at the time of her death, and all those who are suffering in war and heartache of all kinds, and those whose names we hold in the silence of our hearts, as well as those whose names we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. Honor Please prepare for Zazen. And if you could move up into the front rows, I don't see anybody in our front rows. And you can put chairs in the front rows too.
the sound of the clappers. First and third rows turn to the right, second and fourth to the left. The sound of the clappers will begin. Inhale, slow please.
We will now recite the Sangha Covenant on page, where is it? On page 8. We, the Daishin Kokuji Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Thank you. Please prepare for Teisho. Gata on opening the...
Let's just wait for a second.
Okay.
The cue is, when we're both ready, we'll raise our sticks, and then we have at it. Okay. And now he hesitates.
Gata on opening the sutra. The Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
All right, thank you, everybody. Please sit comfortably and in a way that we can see each other. You know, last weekend we had a series of miraculous events. And as I think I may have mentioned Wednesday, it's just incredible. I mean, you know, is the mic not on? Let me see here. Well, this is telling me it is. Is it? Oh, now we're going to get into it. Okay, you can try that. I'm on mic 1. And what that'll do is turn the mic input up so I can speak even more. Is that working? Okay, thank you for that. We might need to, let's check Doan's.
Hello.
All right, thank you for that. You know, by the way, we are investigating, apparently there's some option for hearing impaired folks, that there are special devices we can have that can be made available that you can use that will, get this directly in your ear. So we're looking at all kinds of options to make that work. So anyway, thank you again for being here. Please sit comfortably so we can see each other. And I was mentioning that, last weekend we had this amazing, really kind of peak experience, several of them, in fact, cresting over us one after the next. First with Doan Sensei's acknowledgement as a teacher in the Zen way, in her own right. Frankly, that's years overdue. Everyone knows it. And we decided to wait because transmission is not just between the teacher and the student who becomes the teacher. It's also about the community and what serves and nourishes the mandala of practice. And so we decided to wait until we could all gather together and the community could participate. And so good things, great things take time to have the roots sink deep and true. And so that came to fruition then and was amazing. And then we had our temple blessing. And there were so many wonderful events there. And in particular, the riotous music as we circumambulated the space was delightful. I don't know who it was that brought the recorder, but that was a nice flair. The trombone, I think I know who that was, but just the whole thing was just so wonderful. And then, to have our tea ceremony happen and to bring the feeling of sesshin for those who've participated in that before, when the servers come in, and to have the Shoken students, some of them, to be serving the community. It just, wow, it was the right blend of everything. And then bluegrass and hanging out and golf carts. What's better? And then the Sunday service, where we got to hear our guest teachers, Myoen Roshi and Ed Roshi, in their very unique and different ways express. And I'm particularly grateful for that because, you can't sit through that and go unnoticed how different these expressions of the Dharma are. And we already have a bit of a wealth here in that there are a couple of teachers who obviously are also very different from each other, but it's good to see others. It really is good. And then yesterday, Dosho Roshi was invited in our Zoom world, our hybrid world. It's working, We had a chance to connect with Mahasangha practitioners that are not Buddhist Temple of Toledo community members that were invited in, and we got to hear Dosho express some really wonderful teaching about Kanzeon, the Emejuku Kanangyo that we chant. And it turns out that it's a very deep well, like pretty much everything in the Dharma is. If you really investigate, there's quite a lot there. Now, however, we finally move into something like ordinary time, which I admit is my favorite. Just the ordinary, everyday, the simple. I love the heightened experiences and have learned very much to let them go because they're going anyway. To really enjoy them when they're there, and there's no way to bottle it. Simply enjoy it and let it go. And then dedicate it to those who are not so fortunate as to be able to participate, right now in this world, there are many families who are worlds away from being able to gather with friends and initiate a new temple. And so for them, we keep them in mind and we dedicate the merit of our auspiciousness to those folks. But today, I wanted to pick up a little bit, some more of the teaching on Kanzeon, and we thought we would look together at the source from which a lot of this comes, which is the Lotus Sutra. Now, the Lotus Sutra, this is just one translation I have here. There are quite a few. is in some sects of Mahayana Buddhism, it's the primary, if not the sole text. In Zen, it features. Master Dogen was very taken with the Lotus Sutra. It shows up many times in his Shobogenzo. And for those who traverse the koan path, if you read through this, you'll start to see certain things. You're like, wait a minute, that's a thing I've kind of dealt with before. Look at that, and there's a lot of little things that are drawn from here. But particularly for us today, the chapter called Perceiver of the World's Sounds. Now, the Lotus Sutra itself is, we think, an Indian text, probably from the 1st century BC. And then it was brought into China, and as it was brought into China, the translations, things evolved, and it really took root in China somewhere around the 5th, 6th century. The way this is set up, like many of these ancient texts, is there's a sort of a beginning that's prose, where there's kind of an explanation of what's happening. There's some kind of a liminal spot action that happens. Something goes on, and then the thing gets recapitulated in verse form, more of a song form. And this, we think, has to do with a capturing of the oral tradition that was sung and told and understood. That's captured more in the verse, and it's kind of given a preface with the prose, and there's some magical act in between. Not always, but often. I would like to start with the transitional and then look at the verse together, at least some of it. The situation is that there's the Bodhisattva inexhaustible intent, and that's their Bodhisattva name, inexhaustible intent. And he said to Buddha, world-honored one, which is an epitaph for the Buddha, now I must offer alms to Bodhisattva perceiver of world sounds. And when we refer to Kuan Yin, we speak of her as the one who hears the cries of the world and does not turn away. And this is where it comes from. He then, the Lotus Sutra says, took from his neck a necklace adorned with numerous precious gems worth 100 or 1,000 taels of gold, and presented it to the great Bodhisattva, saying, please accept this necklace of precious gems as a gift in the Dharma. But at that time, the Bodhisattva perceiver of the world sounds was unwilling to accept this gift, had no need of such a token or such a gesture. However, inexhaustible intent spoke once more to Bodhisattva, perceiver of world sounds, saying, please, out of compassion for us, please accept this gift. Please accept this necklace. The response was silence. At last, then, the Buddha said to perceiver of the world sounds, out of compassion for this Bodhisattva inexhaustible intent, and for the 4 kinds of believers, the heavenly beings, dragons, yakshas, gandharvas, asuras, garudas, kimaras, magoras, human and non-human beings alike, you really should accept this necklace. Thereupon, Bodhisattva perceiver of the world sounds, having compassion for the 4 kinds of believers and the heavenly beings, dragons, human and non-human beings, and the others, accepted the necklace. Now let's pause here for a second. What happened before this is the prose version of the virtues and powers of perceiver of world sounds, which we'll talk about in a second. Upon hearing the great power of this mighty Bodhisattva being, the idea of making offerings comes up. Why wouldn't the Bodhisattva accept it? Very interesting. And it was offered several times and still wouldn't accept. And then finally, the Buddha said, for the benefit of all beings, you should accept. And at that, without hesitation, Bodhisattva accepted the necklace. So this is a very important teaching. Many times we have a very difficult time actually accepting we have a very difficult time receiving. And Buddha's counsel here is for the benefit of all beings, accept and receive. There are some times that people come into the orbit of the temple and therefore the orbit of the Buddha Dharma, and there's some part of them that wishes very much to connect, and some part of them which feels that they are unworthy, or not ready, or not the right kind of person, or don't have the right kind of education or background or whatever. And so they a little bit stay outside the door, listening through the window. And the Buddha says, for the benefit of all beings, please come, take your seat. Please stop fussing about yourself so much. Please quit being such a hindrance to yourself and take a seat, dear one. Now, Bodhisattva, perceiver of world sounds, in no way is being a hindrance to themselves, but for us mortals, lessons we can take, right? Now, another interesting feature of this is that in the Indian text, perceiver of world sounds is in a male form. And when it came to China, this changed to become female, and thus the goddess Kuan Yin that we see. Some scholars say that there was an indigenous earth goddess tradition that fused with this teaching, this particular bodhisattva. And so in our Zen way, which was birthed in China, we've always encountered Kuan Yin as feminine, from its Chinese kind of merging, and then from the Japanese inheritance. But interestingly, and it's one of the things Dosho Roshi pointed out, these bodhisattvas are all kind of androgynous, gender bending. They show up all kinds of ways depending on the culture and time and place. So interesting to see. Now here, this is important to kind of notice what happens, because what does this great Mahasattva, Maha means great, right? So when we say Maha Bodhisattvas or Mahasattvas, it means great, great beings. There's Bodhisattvas, there's Mahasattvas, right? There's the Sangha, there's the Mahasangha. So the Mahasangha would include all different temples, all different Sangha communities, and the Mahasangha includes all beings, sentient and insentient. Literally everything that our new awesome deep space telescope will ever see is part of Sangha. All of it. So what does this bodhisattva do? There's a bodhisattva showing up. Perceiver of world sounds. Interesting. Thereupon, Bodhisattva, perceiver of the world sounds, having compassion for the four kinds of believers and heavenly beings, dragons, human and non-human beings alike, accepted the necklace, and then, dividing it into two parts, immediately presented one part to Shakyamuni Buddha and presented the other to the tower of the Buddha many treasures. Now we're in the dream world here. We're in the liminal space, okay, the imaginal realm, which, though it may not be true, is definitely real. Okay. So what this bodhisattva did upon receiving the offering is immediately gave it away. And then what she did is she took half of it and gave it to Shakyamuni Buddha, without whom there would be no access to the Dharma, because Shakyamuni Buddha is the one who realized it and taught it, right? So she's thanking the teachers, the lineage of the teaching, specifically Shakyamuni Buddha, for like laying it down. Here it is, here's the Dharma, here's the Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, all of this. And then the other to the stupa. And this, I would suggest, expresses offering it to true Buddha nature, which is beyond any individual expression, than true Buddha nature itself. So this great compassionate bodhisattva received the offering and immediately gave it to the teacher and to the true nature, both. And this shows where she gets her power. That's where her capacity and her abilities come from, being connected to the lineage and the teachings, conforming oneself to the Dharma, and then also realizing your own true nature, which is inherent. Now from there, the Buddha said, inexhaustible intent, and again, that's the name of the bodhisattva who's asking about this. These are the kinds of freely exercised supernatural powers that bodhisattva perceiver of the world sound displays in their comings and goings in the Saha world. And the Saha world is the world we live in. Right? At that time, Bodhisattva inexhaustible intent posed this question in verse form. And here we launch into the song. Okay, this is the oral tradition captured. World honored one, replete with wonderful features, now I ask you once again, for what reason that the Buddha's son is named the perceiver of the world's sounds? The world honored one endowed with wonderful features replied to inexhaustible intent in verse. Listen to the actions of the perceiver of sounds, how aptly she responds in various quarters. Her vast oath is deep as the ocean. Kalpas pass, but it remains. It is unfathomable. She has attended many thousands and millions of Buddhas setting forth her great pure vow. I will describe her in outline for you. Listen to her name. Observe her body. Bear her in mind, not passing the time vainly, for she can wipe out the pains of existence. Suppose someone should conceive a wish to harm you, should push you into a great pit of fire. Think on the power that perceiver of sounds, bodhisattva, and that pit of fire will change into a lovely pond. If you should be cast adrift on the vast ocean, menaced by dragons and fish, various demons, think on the power that perceiver of sounds, and the billows and waves will not be able to drown you. Suppose you are on the peak of Mount Sumeru. Now, Mount Sumeru is kind of, in the ancient way, they thought that, from India, right, it comes down into the ocean, and above it is the Himalayas, right? So in the ancient worldview, they thought at the center of the world was this massive mountain, Mount Sumeru, and there were continents on north, south, east, west. And that was what the world must be. And so when they say Mount Sumeru, they're saying it's like the tallest mountain at the very center of the earth, right? So suppose you're on the peak of Mount Sumeru and someone pushes you off. It's a long way down, right? Think on the power of that perceiver of sounds, and you will hang in midair like the very sun itself. Suppose you are pursued by evil men who wish to throw you down from a diamond mountain. Think on the power of the perceiver of sounds, and they will not be able to harm even a hair on your head. Suppose you are surrounded by evil-hearted bandits, each brandishing a knife to wound you. Think on the power of that perceiver of sounds, and at once all will be swayed by compassion. They will put their knives down. Suppose you encounter trouble with the king's law, face punishment, about to forfeit your life. Suppose you find yourself in court. Think on the power of that perceiver of sounds, and the executioner's sword will be broken into bits. Suppose you are imprisoned in chain and lock, hands and feet bound by fetters. Think on the power of that perceiver of sounds, and they will fall off, and you will be free. Now it goes on and on. I mean, there's pages of this. It just keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going. It would be very easy to read this, and I think many people have over the centuries read this, and take her to be a salvific entity that you petition and supplicate to. It would be familiar to many of us in the various theistic traditions. However, there's a far deeper meaning and a far deeper teaching to what's going on here. Remember where she shows you she got her power from. Her power comes from connecting and listening to the teachings of the Dharma and realizing her own inherent true nature, this no self. Because she's fully realized that, because she connects with all world sensations, as Dosho Roshi pointed out, it's not really limited to sounds. It's being intimately one with wherever you are, completely meeting whatever situation you're in without reservation. Complete whole body, whole mind, wholehearted embrace of what is so, without fear. It is this non-dual awareness functioning in the world of yes and no that enables this great bodhisattva. It enables her to actually appear in any form. It enables you to appear in any form. In whatever form you find yourself, in whatever situation you find yourself, and it lists many horrors, falling off the edge of the world and besnared by dragons and on, right? Any situation you find yourself, if you can merge with it fully, if you can completely be one with what is so, you will find that, lo and behold, you are free. You're still falling off of Mount Sumeru. That's still true. And yet there's a freedom in the falling. There's a freedom in the chains. There's a freedom in the situation. What is that freedom? And how can we find it? Well, this business of thinking on the bodhisattva, thinking on her capacities and powers, it's an important practice. In fact, I would say it's crucial. But you have to be a little bit mature for it. You have to really sit on your own seat and realize for yourself this perceiving of world sounds. Please take it up.
Thank you. That was really inspiring. So as you were talking, I'm like, oh my God, that's what koan practice is. Sitting there in the Dokusan line, totally afraid, and still being able to manifest and show up as what is required to demonstrate the koan in the Dokusan room. And of course, for those who are doing koan study, there's like all kinds of crazy, wild things we have to demonstrate and show up as. And this is the taking up the teaching. This is practicing the Dharma. And I want to just sort of put a shout out to, we kind of skirt around with devotional practice. Oh, it's good, but it's not outside of ourselves. Oh, it's almost like we say there's devotional practice, and then we take 2 steps back and say, but oh, really, it's just inside of us, right? It's our own mind. And interestingly enough, Dosho was talking about Keizan's great insight that I am it, but it is not me. So I am it, I am one with, and this one with is not me. That second part is like, we really have to investigate that. And it has a lot to do with this intimacy and this affinity and this non-dual awareness. But most importantly, it's okay to own our devotional heart, right? Aiken would say, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas arise from the cracks of the earth according to our need. Asking for help is a huge part of my practice. Probably like too many times a day I can count. I'm sort of like, I can't do this. Please help me. Or something good happens, thank you. Is that two or is that one? This table, there's only one body of the Buddha, right? But at the same time, if I hit it, it hurts. It's right there. Empty as it is, it's quite hard, right? So I thought I would leave us with this lovely chant that I again use very often in the day. Usually I chant it to myself, but sometimes I do it out loud. And some of you have heard it, especially in connection to the White Tara workshop. And the White Tara work is all about calling in and calling forth the White Tara Buddha that arises from the cracks in the earth and arises exactly in front of us and eventually dissolving into us according to our need. So the chant goes something like this. I better take a drink.
Of water.
This is ambrosia, baby. Okay. You who destroy all evil forces and who know all things perfectly, for the sake of all beings, please come to me.
Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody illusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Bodhisattvas who I asked to move up to the first row, forgive me. I don't know what I was thinking that row was there weren't people in it, and I forgot they were people in liturgy positions moving around the room, so forgive me. And thanks, everybody, for participating and being here, and I hope you have a lovely afternoon. Any more announcements? Okay.
I'm Eka. I'm the registrar for Guardian Council. This is just a friendly reminder that as we get back to normal, session is happening and it's residential. We have 2 fully functioning bunk rooms, so you have the option to stay here if that is a need. So please register if you are able and willing and up for it this month. If you are interested in session and it's something you haven't done, you can see me afterwards, but we say is the main contact person on that. But see me after service. Thank you. I've spoken.
Hi, we've got some ginkgo trees out there still, so if you can adopt one, they would really like to go in the ground. They're a little root bound, but it's my gift to all of you. Thank you.
Hi. So we still have some riata yogurt sauce in the fridge from last weekend. We managed to put some of it into containers. Did you bring extra containers, Kinko? Okay. Well, there's some in containers if people want to take it home, and there's also a whole big pan of the rice left over that was frozen, and it should be at least partially thawed by now, and there are like baggies in there if you want to load some up and take it home. Good stuff. Still good. And the yogurt sauce is good for like dipping vegetables and stuff in or putting on your food, whatever. Anyway, let's try not to let that food go to waste if we don't have to.
No more announcements? I guess that concludes our service, and thanks again, everybody.